We are the Group 1 and our topic about is the global divides, the North and the South. Disclaimer, this is for educational use only. Our group is allowing our instructor, Mr. Roldan Ardines, to use this as an educational material. So, objectives. First objective is to understand the development of the global divide. Next objective is to explain the reason behind the North-South divide. Third objective is the difference between the terms Third World and Global South. And the fourth objective is to define and analyze the Global South. So, global divides to Global North and Global South. The Global North refers to the developed societies in Europe and North America, which are characterized by established democracy, wealth, technology, and advancement, political stability, aging population, and dominance of trade and politics. Next is the Global South. Global South is referred to Latin America and other Asian countries that the economically sound and politically stable as their global counterparts and tend to characterize by turmoil, war, conflict, poverty, anarchy, and tyranny. So, how did the global divide develop? First is the colonialism and imperialism. Exploitation of resources, labors, and wealth in colonized territories, creation of extraction economies, and lasting economic and social inequalities. Next is the Industrial Revolution on 18th and 19th century. Technological advancement and capital accumulation in industrialization nations, leading to a significant economic and technological gap between the Global North and Global South. So next is the global trade and formation of the world economy. So it is the depth and economical dependency and development nations' influence of international financial institutions or like World Bank. Next is the political and economic system. Political and economic system influence Cold War ideologies like capitalism or socialism. Corruption and government issues in development countries, varying level states of intervention of economics. Next is neocolonialism and globalization. Continuous economic and political influence of powerful nations over formerly colonized countries, rule of multinational corporations, and an even benefit of globalization. So next is the technological and educational gaps. Unequal access to technologies and infrastructure and quality education, disparities in productivity, innovation, and economic advancement between the both global North and South. So the global divides develop as a result of complex of historical events like colonialism and industry revolution, political resources, political ideologies, economic policies, and unequal to resources and technology advancement. These divides continue to shape global relationships today, while wealthier nations maintaining an advantage over poorer ones, despite the efforts toward reducing inequalities through international cooperation and development aids.
My topic is all about why the global divides the North and the South. The terms global and global South are used to describe the socio-economic and political divide between wealthier industrialized nations, mostly in the northern hemisphere, and power developing countries, mostly in the southern hemisphere. Colonial legacy and geography. First, colonialism. During the colonial period 16th to mid-20th century, European powers colonized much of Africa, Asia, and Latin America, extracting resources and shaping economies to benefit to colonize the countries in the north, such as Europe and North America, become the centers of industrial and economic growth, while the countries in the South were exploited for their raw materials and labor. Second is geographical context. Many of the countries in the Global South are located in the tropical, subtropical regions that face challenges like climate instability, disease, and limited access to industrial infrastructure. These factors historically hindered economic growth, while the northern countries, with their temperate climates and more stable resources, had a head start in developing advanced economies.
Decadent Madrid. Today we're talking about Industrial Revolution. Industrialization in the North. The Industrial Revolution, which began in the late 18th centuries, was a transformative period that led to a mass production, technological innovation, and the rise of capitalist economies. Countries in the global North, especially Europe and later North America, industrialized early, creating a significant economic advantage. This allowed them to develop strong economies, invest in infrastructure, and accumulate wealth. Limited industrialization in the South, while the global South had some local industries such as mining or agriculture. They were often shaped by a colonial structure, meaning their economies remained dependent to the North for technology, trade, and capital. This slowed their own industrial development. Global trade economy system. Unequal trade networks. Colonial economies were structured around extraction of raw materials like gold, cotton, and oil from the South, which were sent to the North to be processed into finished goods or products. This created an imbalanced global trade system where the North profited from the resources of the South, leading to wealth accumulation in the North and poverty in the South. Economic dependency. After independence in many regions of the South, the legacy of colonial trade patterns persisted. Many nations in the South themselves dependent on exporting raw materials and agricultural products, while the North continued to dominate global manufacturing, technology, and finance. This created a cycle of economic dependency that continues to some extent today.
Deep and structural adjustment. Deep crisis in the late 20th century, many countries in the Global South faced overwhelming debt burdens. Loans from international financial institutions like IMF and World Bank were often used to finance infrastructure projects, but they were accompanied by strain. These policies often lead to economic hardship, widening inequality, and stunting growth in the South. Continued economic exploitation. Even today, many countries in the Global South are caught in cycles of debt, which limit their ability to invest in infrastructure, educational, or social service. Meanwhile, the North continues to benefit from the financial system, economic policies that perpetuate this imbalance.
Global South. Global South refers to a group of countries that are generally considered to be less economically developed, often located in Latin America, Africa, Asia, and Oceania. It's commonly used in political, economic, and academic discussion to describe nations that face challenges such as poverty, inequality, and underdevelopment, but also poses in significant growth potential and cultural richness. Key features of Global South. Number 1. Economic development. Many countries in the Global South are classified as the developing or emerging economies with varying levels of industrialization. Number 2. Historical context. The term is partly rooted in the post-colonial studies, recognizing the historical effects of colonialism, imperialism, and globalizations. Number 3. The geopolitical role. Countries that in the Global South often advocates for fairer global trade policies, climate justice, and economic development assistance. Number 4. diversity, it includes major economies like India, Brazil, and China, alongside smaller, lower-income nations. Comparison with Global North. Global North includes countries in North America, Europe, and parts of East Asia like Japan, South Korea, which tend to be more industrialized, wealthier, and politically influential. Global South includes regions with growing economies but facing challenges like poverty, infrastructure gaps, and political instability. Current relevance. The Global South is increasing asserting itself in global affairs through organized like Brazil, Russia, India, China, South America, and the region blocs like ASEAN and the African Union. Issues like climate change, debt relief, and sustainable development are the key concerns for many Global South nations.
Third World. So the term Third World originally referred to the countries that were not aligned with either the First World, capitalist Eastern Bloc, or the Second World, communist Eastern Bloc. During the Cold War, these countries were mostly newly independent nations in Africa, Asia, and Latin America that had not formally chosen sides in the ideological conflict between the United States and the Soviet Union. So, historical context of Third World. So, the term originated during the Cold War, 1947 to 1991, to describe countries that were not aligned with either the First World Western Capitalist Bloc led by the United States and its NATO allies, or the Second World Eastern Communist Bloc led by the Soviet Union. These Third World countries were mostly and newly independent nations from Africa, Asia, and Latin America that had fought for independence for colonial rule but were still trying to establish their political and economic system over the time. The term Third World became associated with the economic underdevelopment, poverty, and independence on the wealthier industrial nations in the Third World.
So next is new conceptions of global relations from Latin American experiences. Latin America has been at the forefront of developing new conceptions of global relations, particularly as a result of its history, colonialism, dependence on external powers, and struggles for social justice and sovereignty. These experiences have contributed to unique approaches to international relations and global cooperation, which are often distinct from traditional Western models. Several key Latin American movements and theories have shaped global relations and continue to influence global discourse.
I'm Engine Cadet Lu Anthony Dugaduga, and I'm going to explain the dependency theory and the Bolivian Revolution. So first, dependency theory suggests that Latin American countries remain economically dependent on wealthier nations, preventing their development. It calls for structural changes like nationalization and regional integration to break free from this dependence. So this theory argues that Latin American countries are stuck in a cycle of economic dependence on wealthier nations, which hinders their development. It suggests that the global economy is structured in a way that benefits rich countries while keeping poorer ones reliant on them. So the second one is the Bolivian Revolution and ALBA, aim to unite Latin America and challenge U.S. dominance by promoting solidarity, social justice, and economic cooperation among member countries, offering an alternative to neoliberalism. So the Bolivarian Revolution, inspired by Simon Bolivar, seeks to unite Latin America and counter U.S. influence. ALBA, Bolivarian Alliance for the Peoples of Our America, promotes economic and social cooperation among member countries as an alternative to neoliberal policies.
So next is the pink tide in the early 2000s. So left-wing governments moving away from neoliberal policies, advocating for state intervention, social inclusion, and regional integration to reduce dependence on the US and IMF. The Bolivarian Revolution and ALBA aim to unite Latin America and challenge US dominance by promoting solidarity, social justice, and economic cooperation among member countries, offering an alternative on neoliberalism.
South-South cooperation promotes mutual aids and solidarity between Global South countries, challenging dependence on the Global North and advocating for autonomy and fair global system. Latin American countries play a significant role in global environmentalism, advocating for climate justice, indigenous rights, and equitable environment policies, while calling for reparations for Global North for past environment damage.